Just was going to say you mentioned AI, and I read a great quote, and it said, "I want I don't want AI to write and make art for me. I want AI to do my laundry and wash my dishes while I create the art and write."
Exactly. 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 It's so good.
I thought that was so good. I'm like, wow, I agree 100% with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because if we stop making the art, then we shouldn't even be here. What are we here for? Just to sit on the couch
Exactly.
while the thing makes the art?
Exactly. So I just get to stay at home and do the laundry, clean the floors, sort out my sock drawer while it writes everything for me, so I don't have nothing to do.
It'll be an interesting game where that goes.
It will, but I'm sure that AI will do my dishes, do the laundry, cook my meals. I'm sure it'll get there, and
At some point,
and
right? Exactly.
it's gonna happen. Everything you saw in sci-fi is what's gonna happen, because the idea comes out there, the creatives people write about it, the artists show it and get you into it, and then the next thing you know, I'm gonna create it now for real.
Right.
Exactly,
The concept of
exactly. The
swiping your
Dick, the
finger, like
Dick
what? Yeah, Dick Tracy watch,
Tracy
right?
watch.
Totally. I mean, I have one. As a kid, like what? So there you go. Well, it has to
It's
live in
funny.
mind first before it comes into the physical form.
Hmm.
The mind starts it.
So, Dr. Rick Tamlyn, welcome to Transform Your Future podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Eddie.
Yes,
Eddie.
sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm honored,
So,
honored to be here. Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
I've been looking at everything, and going back and forth, and I appreciate you. I'm grateful you spend the time with me today. I want to talk about your book.
sure.
It's a mouthful. Hold on. I want to get it right. I want to
I can
play
hold it up.
your
I'm a
bigger
good marketing.
game. Oh,
I'm a
that
good.
helps me. Play your bigger game.
I'm a good marketing
Absolutely.
guru. I'm right here. I'm
9 minutes
ready to
to
go.
learn, a lifetime to live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'll just get into a little bit of the origin of the origin. I'll tell you sort of the philosophy of it.
Thank you.
So I've been in the life coachy space, an early adopter in the life coachy space, right, since 1990. Okay, back then we only had consultants and therapists, right? Either I'm being fixed with my psychology or I'm being told what to do by a consultant. This life coaching thing happened in the middle. Like, what if you talk to a person about the life you want and they don't tell you exactly how to do it, but they keep you engaged, and the conversation starts to open up the imagination, which then has people take more responsibility for the life they want. So a life coach is actually about helping people take more responsibility with their creative geniusness about how they can create the life they want. So that's a mouthful on what I think a life coach is really about, right? And we've been made fun of and we've been thrown under the bus. And there's a great episode, by the way, if you ever get to see it. It was on the Simpsons, made fun of life coaches. One of the best. They had a life coach on there and it just made us look like horrible humans. We were like idiots. It was just but as soon as you're on TV and you've made it like that way, you've made it, right? We knew we arrived. So why I'm telling you that is, out of thousands of conversations, I'm now 65 years old, but a number of years ago, my business partner and I at the time, we started to analyze the data and also through the conversations, what was having people, what were having people be more successful, more engaged, more alive, more connected, more fulfilled, all those words that we love to throw around. What was going on in those people versus the client who would show up and, can you get me through the next week? That kind of a client. And the terminology, we made it up, was the people who were up to something bigger than they knew how to do, that was oriented towards impact, not income,
Hmm.
were the ones who were, quote unquote, in the game, playing a bigger game. Then we actually dissected, well, what are the elements of what it means to play a bigger game? Like, cool philosophy, cool language. What the hell does it mean?
Yeah.
So we actually created a very simple game board. These 9 words that I'm going to walk you through here, everybody understands them. They've all heard them. But it's a simple philosophy of understanding kind of the human spirit and its ability to create. With me enough on the
Hmm.
context, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's a tic-tac-toe board. First of all, we needed a playful way to, like, there's no strategy to this. There's no perfection to this. There's no linearness, not a linear model. It's not like do this,
Hmm.
do this, do this, right? But there are 9 elements to it. I'm just going to walk you through them really super fast. And by the way, this is either a 10-minute conversation. It can be a 2-hour conversation with a client. It can be a 3-day workshop. I've done it for corporations for 5,000 people over a week. So the philosophy has now taken me out into the world and around the globe, and 2.7 million miles later. So I happened to bump into a philosophy and a thing that really took off, and I feel very proud about that. So anyway, I'm going to start with the word hunger. This is not complicated, everybody. Those of you that are listening, it's not just what you want. It goes beneath that. It's what matters to you so much. And for many people, it's your family and it's your income, and those are all beautiful things. But what matters to you that you are willing to go to the mat for more than almost anything else on the planet? That's like it's the calling card. It's like, what's the calling? What are you called to do? What are you not just here to do to make a living? So it really pokes at making a living versus creating a life. Most people make a living. You and I dare say, are in the advanced consciousness conversation. We're here to actually up-level living, not just make a life. Right?
Yeah.
So that's that first square. And there's always answers in there, and there's never a right answer, right? But that starts to feed what we termed a compelling purpose, which is the why. We all know the Simon Sinek work of Begin with Why. Great book, recommended highly. It's what is the big why? So hunger sort of as a state of being. Compelling purpose answers the question. I am here to activate people to understand their greatness. Fantastic. That's a compelling purpose. Not a bigger game. There's no doing yet. That's just a lovely statement, right? So I know I'm going really fast here. So then I want to go to this next one. So the next term, very, very, very scientific, gulp. All it means is I don't know if I can do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know if I'm up to do that, but I must do that. It's the state of being of, I don't know if I can or have it, but I must. It's that, and there's literally this sensation in the body, right? Literally like that.
Just before you walk off the edge.
You got it. It's that metaphor. We borrowed from that metaphor. You're so like, are you kidding me? I don't like, right? And in my daily life, are there enough gulps in my daily life? You and I both know most people are, I don't want to say most people, so many people in my world right now are bored out of their minds. They are just like, I don't know why I'm here. Anyway, so I'm like, well, let's play a bigger game, right? Okay. Very simple. Next square, investment. You got to invest in it. What does that mean? You gotta talk about it. You gotta write a book about it. You gotta turn it into a workshop. You gotta hire somebody to help you. Eddie, you're here in my language. You're playing a bigger game. You are on a mission to wake up people to their greatness, to have people understand something. You've chosen the modality called podcasting. Thank you. To get to as many people as possible. You've invested a microphone, technology. It's straightforward, right? You said yes to it. Allies. Of course, you can't do it alone.
And I gulped.
Of course, right? Right? Is this going to work? Is anybody going to listen to me? Does anybody care? Can I make a living from this? Oh my God, am I going to have to work at Trader Joe's? All this stuff. It's all a part of it. And we all want to sort of be comfortable. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But let me go to allies really quick. Can never do it alone, of course. But allies also implies, what are the people in your life, the dogs in your life? Do you talk to people on the other side? Do you go through life with a context that there are people who are here to support, right? And believe in you? Like, who are the coaches, trainers, teachers, mentors? However, allies are also the people who think you're crazy. Steve Jobs, here's to the crazy ones. Remember that? Remember on the wall of the Apple Store, that great poem, here's to the crazy ones. We are the crazy ones. One other story related to allies. So sometimes a bigger game happens to you in your life. Sometimes you choose it. My brother, 35 years ago, diagnosed with bone marrow cancer. You will be dead in a year. Go home and die. Okay. I watched my little tiny diminutive mother, 5'2", 120 pounds, a nurse, find fire and energy And I've, that sort of leader within that goes, watch me. And she goes and, 4 hospitals say no, go home and die. And she goes and finds a hospital. I won't go through the whole story, but if she hadn't decided to, like, she was so hungry, I'm going to keep my son alive. I'm going to do everything I can to keep this guy alive. And she did. And, $1.6 million later, 14 hospitals. He's been written up in medical journals because they tried brand new shit that my mother said, you're going to try it. You're going to try it.
Mm,
Right. So
mm,
the
mm,
leader in her, I was like,
mhm.
wow, that's leadership. It's also in
Yes.
my language, a bigger game that grabbed
Yeah.
her and designed her life, designed those 10 years. It was a 10-year
Mm,
recovery. He's alive and well
mm.
today, by the way.
God,
Right.
that's
So that
awesome.
kind of, so sometimes, by the way, what I related to ally is that wasn't pretty. That wasn't like a, oh, yay, I'm going to do this good work in the world. That was like a, right now, I'm off doing public speaking and I tell that story and I say, sometimes you have to find something that matters to you like that. I don't want it to be death, fear
Mhm,
of death, because that was a fear. That was a, like, you're going
mhm,
to die.
mhm,
But sometimes, what is that? And you have to have a conversation with somebody and have a conversation with a coach and go, okay, let's figure this out. What matters to you more than almost anything? Sustainability. This is the square. These are called squares, by the way, not boxes. This is the square that says you must take care of yourself. You must you must work out. You must eat right. This is the vehicle in which the bigger game is going to happen through. You need to take extreme care of yourself, whatever that means for you. So that's sustainability of the player, the bigger game player. It also means, it has 2 parts in this square. Will this work, this thing you create, go on without you? It's the legacy square. So bigger game is a philosophy, it's an ideology, it's a workshop, and I have trained the trainers. When I die, this will go on without me. That's responsible leadership. That's legacy. Rather than, oh, it was a good run, Rick Tamlyn's dead, right? I mean, it's like, that's
mhm,
because I want it to go on. Okay, assess. Very simple. How's it going? Is it fun? Is it working? No judgment. It doesn't say good or bad. It just says, how's this working? I need help. I need to hire help. I need to get on a podcast. I need to talk to somebody. I need to invest, right? Very simple. The square over here, comfort zones. We've all heard the term, a bit overused, but it does ask us to step through them. But here's the distinction on this model. There are comfort zones that serve us, and there are comfort zones that do not. They're not good or bad. They just are what they are. I have a comfort zone called jogging every single day of the week, 3 to 5 miles. It is a non-negotiable in my life. That's a comfort zone. Serves me brilliantly. I also have a comfort zone called worrying about my future if I'm going to have enough money. There are days, right? I'm in the personal
mhm,
growth space. My business goes like this. That's a
mm,
comfort zone that doesn't serve me. So what do I need to do about that? What do I need? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need? What do I need to do in my business life to handle that? What television channel do I need to turn off so I don't keep getting fed the fear game, because we're in the fear space. We've never been in a fear space as we are now, right? And then the final square, very simple. It lives in the middle. Bold action without a bold action. This is all just a lovely conversation, and it's another cup of coffee with you about a big dream I want to have with my life, right? And the ultimate way to think about this is you're on this game board all the time in your life. You're hungry for something to be different. You want to make a difference while you want to hear. You need help. You're going to invest in it. Like, you're always somewhere. You're never not on this game board. So that's the simplest explanation. I want to say it's not thin, but it's not complicated. It's
mm,
really simple. And if you and I were to have a bigger game coaching conversation, you'd have answers to any one of these. And I would ask you on this, right now today, like,
mhm,
Eddie, where are you on this game board right now? You would have an answer. And that's the
mhm,
doorway into the next level of your expression, next level of your consciousness, next level of the life you want to create. Because ultimately, this is what I believe. This is why coaching works. I get so excited. Slow me down, by the way, at any point. The transformation we want happens through the conversations we're having. and we're having two conversations all the time. We're having a conversation in our head all the time, either about ourselves or another human being. And by the way, it happens in our sleep time. That's called unconscious dreaming, or our wake time. And we're judging, we're voting, we're liking, we're disliking, and we're doing it here all the time. The second conversation we're having all the time is the one we're having with other people. That's designing our life. Am I off colluding with how horrible the world is? Am I off hanging out with people and throwing people under the bus and being mean because it's sort of fun? I mean, but that is, we get so unconscious with the conversations we're having. That's why coaching works, because a coach comes along and says, let's have an intentional conversation about the life you really want. Because most of the time you can't have that with your friends, because your friends just want you to collude with them about things. And a coach comes along and says, we're not going to collude about how things are. We're going to talk and create things about how you want things to be. So coaching is a creative conversation. Colluding is a reactive conversation.
Well, I would like to unpack some of that. I have some
Sure,
questions first,
that's a
though.
lot.
I
I
have some
know.
questions first, because
Yeah.
you said some really interesting things. You talked about comfort zones and how you have this comfort zone that's actually a negative thought
Yeah.
process,
There's
a fear-based thing.
Yep.
Why is that a comfort zone?
Because I
I
have a
don't
habit.
understand
I have
quite.
a habit. It's a habit. It's like it
So
keeps
you're
happening.
saying if I'm comfortable with certain habits,
Yeah, they don't feel good, but I keep
right? They
doing
don't
them.
serve me. They don't
They
feel
don't serve
good.
me.
I
Correct.
don't
That's the
like them,
language.
but I'm comfortable doing it or thinking about
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
a repetitive thing. I
Yeah. And
got
they've
you.
actually proven, you probably have heard this, the neural pathway. The neural
Mm-hmm.
pathway of fear is actually it starts, well, there's a neural pathway for everything. Every emotion we have has a neural pathway. That's a tiny little thin line in the brain, and if you keep having it, it gets thicker and thicker, and it becomes like a 6-lane freeway. They've proven it.
Mm.
They open up brains and they go, oh my god, look at that neural pathway, it's really thick, I wonder what that one
Mm.
was. And that,
Really?
for many people, that's the fear one, right? And we also know, by the way, the amygdala in the brain. They've proved, the whole brain stuff. I'm not a brain scientist, but I know this much. The amygdala in the back is there to to keep us safe. Like, there's a bear, run.
Right. Right.
But we've also then taken it on like, oh my god, the economy's bad, run. You know, and but the frontal
Yeah.
cortex,
I haven't seen many dinosaurs or tigers and
right?
lions. So.
I know, that's right. We're living out, and they've even proven it. They'll say in 10,000 years that part of the brain will probably be gone because it's not needed.
So it's interesting though about the neuroplasticity
Yeah,
and the neural
yeah,
pathways
yeah,
and how so repetitive thinking, repetitive focus on something actually creates a much larger, thicker pathway. That's
yeah. And
interesting.
then it becomes a habit. You know how they say it takes 21 days or 30 days to break a habit? You're fighting against the neural pathway. It's an actual electronic signal that keeps wanting to happen. It's also the addiction to the dopamine hit. This is a dopamine hit. This is now a drug. We check our phones. I don't know what the stat is. I heard somebody say it the other day, and I was like, holy, right? We wake up, we check the phone, we check the phone, and check the phone, check the phone, check the phone. That's a dopamine hit. It's an actual drug addiction, which they're proving. I don't know if anybody's doing anything about it, but at least we're aware. So I can choose to pick it up or not, instead of it just goes there.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the focus is, a lot of those conversations I hear
Yeah.
that the focus is about social media
Yeah.
and how the social media companies know that people like that dopamine hit and they keep figuring out ways to keep
Yeah.
serving it to you
Yeah.
to keep you on the
Yeah. The
platform.
high. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
one of
an
those
interesting.
people, like, I don't really like to take too long on social media. I go there, I check some things out,
Yeah, I do
see
too.
what,
We need it.
family's doing, whatever. But after
Yeah.
like 10, 15
Yeah.
minutes, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get out of here.
No, exactly. It's a rabbit hole of nothingness, right? And I want to be careful that we throw that completely under the bus. I mean, I wrote a book, and the publishing company Hay House says we need to know how many followers you have on the different platforms, because we need to know how many books you're going to sell, because that's how you sell books. So of course, there's a positive and a negative to all of this. I mean, there was a positive and a negative to television. There was a positive
Mm-hmm.
and negative to movies. I mean, we're just going to the next level of how do I want to be with this? Because it's not going away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Certainly it serves me in a lot of ways. Like,
yes, oh my
just here's
God,
just a, like, my health is very, very important to me.
yes,
I've lost over 200 pounds
oh my God,
over a
Eddie,
long period
congrats,
of time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In 1995 I was up to 380 pounds, so
Eddie.
I
I would
had to do a
never.
lot of work.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
lot of work. Both
Yeah. Well,
this work.
I was always a little overweight, and but then I had a car accident and I couldn't walk and I
Yeah,
was totally
right.
depressed. It changed
Yeah,
my
right.
life and
Yes.
surgeries later and everything. And I just ate and just sat around and wasn't active. And you know
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Good
So
for
but
you.
anyway, my point is my health's very important to me. And so you lose weight, you exercise, you do things, and then you take it more serious, more serious, more serious. I have physical problems. So in all of that, the thing is that there are things that I rely on that are helpful in that are apps and things like that to
Yep,
help me track
absolutely.
certain things, track my sleep, track my movement, things like that. I like that. Those are things
Me
that
too.
serve me.
Totally, totally with you. I need blood pressure, heart rate. I love all. I mean,
Exactly. I
so
keep track of everything, keep track of my health, my
yeah,
prescriptions, all that
yeah.
kind of
I
stuff. I
know.
go to the
Good for
doctor,
them.
he asks me a question. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah,
Here's
I
the
know. It's
information.
brilliant. I know. It's a beautiful thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
exactly. So again, we don't want to throw any of this stuff under the bus. We just want to be conscious. What am I? How am
Yeah.
I using this? And again,
So,
is
so
it serving me or not, right? Excuse me, I'm going to get some water. Hang on, my cup is over
yeah,
here. There
do
we go.
that, do that. So, let's kind of unpack some of this.
I
So
love your term.
when we talk about purpose,
Yeah,
Simon Sinek wrote the book and everybody goes around parroting, your
yeah,
why, your why, your
yeah.
why.
I know, right?
I feel like there's some kind of thought process that's going on that if you know your why, suddenly everything changes in your life. And I don't find it to be that way.
I agree completely with you. By the way,
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
think like, there is a reason why I'm motivated to do certain things. There's a reason why I want to
Mhm.
reach these goals. There is something internal. Like, for example, uh, I wanted to put my daughter through private school. She was in private university. She's been private school since she was pre-K. You know
Yep,
what I'm saying?
yep,
So like, I
yep.
really cared about education. I did everything I could to make sure that she'd always have that education, and I
That
was
was your
willing to
why.
do whatever was necessary. Right. And when I think about exactly,
That that's
exactly,
not a life purpose statement. That's a compelling period of your life. This matters almost more than anything else on the planet. That's your why. See, our whys change.
yes,
They must
yes.
change because we're evolving.
And like you said you have a new why, maybe that has to do with about your future, knowing that things are happening in the future, things are going to change, and you want to make sure that things are taken care of in that. This is going to drive you, right?
Correct.
So your
Correct.
why is something that you understand, that helps to understand why I want to do these things, why I'm focusing on this, but it doesn't help me to reach the goals,
No,
right?
ultimately it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's the I think we put too much pressure on it that it's supposed to motivate me. And I just let me just go down the rabbit hole of motivation for a second. I think it's a little overrated because if you're like me, do you know your day? You're like motivated, then you're not. I want to go to the gym. No, I don't think I do. I want to write this book. No, I'm not going to. Like, I mean, can we just get honest about that? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of a crazy, like, motivation. I'm all in. No, there's something. The language I like to play with is I'm not always motivated, but I'm committed. Like I'm in my marriage with my husband now for 33 years. That's a commitment. Am I motivated all the time to want to be with this person? No, there are days where I hate him.
Or
But
at least he annoys you.
yeah, I know I'm being very extreme for the sake of drama here. But
Mm.
you know what? But that's the antidote to doubt is not certainty, it's commitment. Or that whole sort of I don't know if I it's like but I said I'm going to. It's that simple. And do I follow through on the commitment versus I let the lower self sort of win. And I mean, your loss of weight, Eddie, I mean, you made a choice at some moment called, I'm going to die early, and projecting all over you. There's probably some moment where you were like, holy, holy hell, Batman, we got a problem. And you got help, and who
Yeah,
knows what you
I
did.
could. It became so. First, I couldn't walk because of the accident,
Yeah,
and I had some surgeries and whatnot. But then I gained a lot of weight, and then it became clear that the problem I was having with walking was really just all the weight
because
that
of
I
the
was now
weight. Yeah,
carrying.
yeah, you're like
So I had to do something quickly if I wanted to have any kind of
kind of a
functioning
little
life
life. Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
Absolutely. And
So
so that
yay
I
to your
rose. I wrote. Like we were talking about story about your mother, how this situation came and she rose to the occasion and just
grabbed her.
and that's kind of what happened to me. I didn't think about this. I didn't write down goals and say, gee, what would I like to do with my life? I was just, holy crap, I need to
Yep,
do something right now. Let's
yep,
go.
yep, yep, yep. And God willing, most of us get to choose that, but sometimes it happens to us. Like Steve Jobs did a great talk. It was one of his most famous speeches, his commencement speech about
Yeah.
motivation. And do you remember that one where he goes, "You know what the greatest motivator is? Death." The room goes silent. These kids are like 18 years old, and he's talking about dying. And it became one of his most famous speeches. He goes, "You're going to die. So let's get on with it. Make sure you go create some stuff that really matters to you because you're going to die." I can imagine some of the parents in that room going, "Oh my God." Like, and then ironically, he did die early. But that's sort of an example of that. I don't want death to be the motivator, but I think you said it earlier. Like, we don't want to get to the end and go, what we're left with, we went for it, or we're left with regret. It's a great
Yeah,
note.
one of the things that I like because you said that word is Jeff Bezos's
Yes,
regret minimization story
yes, yes,
that he posted in the 90s.
yes,
I really like that, and I use that on myself
yeah,
many times. It's how I
yeah,
decide a lot of what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go. Is like, so when I'm 90 years old, I don't want to regret that I didn't do certain things, that I
yeah.
didn't
It's the
take
same.
those risks.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same. We're all kind of saying the same thing. We just maybe have a different methodology or vocabulary
Yeah,
to it, but it's that
yeah.
same. We. My dad was the voice to me, and not I. My parents were a big influence. We had good stuff, and we had shadow stuff. We were a classic family of light and dark, and Um, but my dad, towards the back end of his life, he was a General Motors guy, 46 years, got on the train, New Jersey, New York City, every day, 4:30 in the morning, got home at 7:30, repeat, 42
Mm.
years. God bless. Did that. That was the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And but he did say to me, he had enough gumption to be able to say to me, he goes, Rick, this life is really, it's classic. It's a classic sage moment from your parents. This thing's pretty short, so you're welcome to do what I did, but I want he didn't say bigger game, but he said, I want you to design a life that really calls to you, instead of just a life that you get to pay the bills and you got through it. So I know it's a lot of this going on out there. There's a lot of motivational people talking about this, which I think is great. And here's the gift of COVID. I mean, the shadow of COVID is awful. We must also mourn, and I don't think we've done a good job of it in our country and our globe. We must mourn the hundreds of thousands of lives that have been lost. We haven't done that, by the way. We just like get on with it, sort of like 9/11. We were just like,
It's the
okay,
American way.
yeah, we just sort of
Yeah.
step over it. But this is why we're having so much trauma. To be honest, it was trauma. That was absolute trauma. And we're like, oh, we're back, and I'm like, oh my God, we're not really back. We're just functioning like we're back. But the gift of COVID, from my perspective, is it had everything slow down and have us stop and reflect. Some people it made them crazy, some people that saved their lives, some people that lost their lives. A big, huge wake up call. And now, younger kid, everybody's. I want to be careful of absolutes. Not everybody, but a lot of people are like, I'm not going to go kill myself anymore. I'm going to try the
Mm-hmm.
corporation's doing the 4-day work week. I'm like, yay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going from the 80-hour work week to the 4-day work week, because yay to what are we doing? Like, where's this going?
Mhm.
And I know we're all part of a capitalistic system, so we can't quote unquote stop or it all falls apart. We all know this. But there's great work out there around the word sustainability, kind of like it's part of my language, my workshop too. It's like no, it's not sustainability. What is the word? Where it's just enough. We don't need to do any more. What is that term? Lynn Twist talks about it in her book. Lynn Twist is a great teacher about money and how we've gotten obsessed with more is better. Sufficient. Sufficient is her word. What is sufficient? It's a great, like, I have enough money. I'm sufficient. I don't need $18 million in the bank. What? I mean, so she's the voice. She's running around the globe going, this is sufficient, everybody. This is sufficient. So what I love that's happening, there are a lot of great voices out there that are
Well,
speaking.
I want to interrupt you.
Go.
I like what you were saying earlier about how the consciousness is
Mm-hmm.
changing, and it's no longer about, many years ago it was just about get a good job with
Yep. Yep.
stability and work
Yep.
towards your retirement, and then when you're 60, 65, whatever, you can retire and just do whatever you want. And that's changing
It's
now
changing.
to not waiting till you're 65 to figure it all out now
Yep.
before
Yep.
you're 65, and start including all those other areas in your life that's important to you, instead of just focusing on, your vocation, to focus on your entire life, like your relationships, your finances, your time and money freedom. What do you really like? Are you doing what you really enjoy? Would you like to be
Joy.
doing
Right.
something else?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's great. I mean, I've been doing that for a long time, and eliminating things from my life that I don't like, that I don't want to do, getting other people to do it for me,
Yeah. I know.
and
There's the hard, right.
and figuring out how to run a business without me having to work all day. you know?
Exactly. Well, certainly as a solopreneur and entrepreneur that you and I both are, like, could we just hire people to help? And of course we are. And but to
Yeah.
your point, that is the life
But there's
coaching.
always those things. There's always those things that we love doing.
Yeah, of course.
My
Yep.
talent, my
Yep.
skill. I love
Yep.
working with people. I love talking. I
That's
love sales and influence and certainty. So, that's what I'm always going to focus on. Those things, I'm glad to take those things over and lead in those areas. But things like, editing and administrative work
I
and
know.
some of these
Billing.
other, I don't want to do with that.
I know, right. Exactly. I know. And
That's
there's all
like
these
brain
other great people that
damage.
no, I know exactly. Well, I love what you said, Eddie. What's the no that I need to say in my life so the yes can happen better?
Yes, yes, yes. I like
Those are
that.
great
That's
big
another good
questions, right?
saying.
Like just
And I really like you saying earlier, I guess I should say that transformation
happens through
through
true conversation.
conversations.
It
I
happens
like
through
that a lot.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Whether it's
Because
with
we're having it all.
ourselves
Yeah.
or with somebody else. Yeah. I mean, my goal has been for the last, I would say, I don't know, maybe 15 years,
Mm,
14 years, has really been to design the life that I want. That's the life that I feel is worth living and
yeah.
worth showing up to every day.
Yeah.
And it has been, in the beginning, it was really quite a struggle, and I was absolutely scared as hell.
Absolutely.
I was just like, oh my God, what would I be if I'm not in this relationship anymore? What would they think about me if I divorced this person? What would my kids think and feel? And then could I find somebody else? Because I like a relationship. I think I need to have a real relationship in my life to share things with. So, but I went through all that and did all those things, and I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very happy, and I feel like so much freedom in my life, and I feel so much joy about things. I mean, I don't mind working and doing things. I don't mind the hard stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah.
if it's for a purpose that's going to serve me and it
That's the
has
thing, right?
meaning to me,
That's
it's
exactly right.
fine.
Yeah. It's no longer work. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
Because I'm going to do this
exactly.
until I drop. By the way, I'm going to speak, write books. I'm going to do the. My husband and I laugh. My biggest dream, how to end, is I'm on a stage and there's 5,000 people and I just say something really profound and then I just drop. It was a good run. Boom.
Or maybe you sit down, you say, okay, boy, that took a lot out of me. Let me
Yeah,
sit down a minute. And then you,
yeah. Like I know. There's a funny you say that. I was chatting with a theater friend of mine the other day, and I forget who it was. Yul Brenner. It was Yul Brenner. Remember Yul Brenner?
yeah,
Okay, so he died that way. So he had just done a show, scene or something, and he walks off stage and sits down and dies. I never knew that. Like in
that's
the middle,
the,
isn't that a great way to go?
yeah,
Like,
he wouldn't do it on the stage.
no, yeah, a little too much trauma for the room.
But there's something about that with death,
Yeah, yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you, I did a lot of studies on death when I was in college. I made a lot of movies and TV shows in the past, documentaries, sports
Wow.
television. I worked with a lot of celebrities. That was another company that I had for 20 years. But I remember how somebody was very ill and, they had weeks to live or whatever, but their granddaughter's graduation was in, 9 months, and they wanted to be there for the graduation of their
They will.
granddaughter.
They will keep
And
it.
then right after it happened, they passed. So it's like somehow internally, like we know what we need to do, and we're going to hang on until that moment. And once that happens, then we say, okay, now I can.
Isn't that fascinating? How the
It
mind can
is.
really be involved in that.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, you mentioned while we were talking, when we talked about allies, you talked about people, and I forgot the exact term you used, but it was something like people on the other side. I think you said
Yeah.
whether there
Who
are
think?
people on the other side. So, can
Oh,
you
you mean like
explain the
talking
other
to?
side?
Yeah, I know that went by fast. So my spiritual practice is I believe, by the way, we're all one. There's no God outside of me. I'm one with all of it. I
Hmm.
did my doctorate, by the way. The doctorate is in something called advanced consciousness studies. Basically, it was quantum physics and how we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. Quantum physics, metaphysics, all of that kind of rolled into one. So when I say talking to the other side in that context, I go for walks in the morning and my dad is no longer on the physical plane, but I have conversations with my dad like three to
Yeah.
five times a week.
Yeah.
And here's the cool thing. I have no idea if I'm literally talking to him, but if I believe I'm literally talking to him, then I'm talking to him. Do
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like the science doesn't need to
Hmm.
back it up because I so believe in the power of my belief. See everything for me, and most people I think are getting this these days. The belief of anything makes it real. A good solid Christian, and I'm not going to go down the path of religion, but a good solid Christian who's healthy, who believes that Jesus is the path, Jesus is the path. Fantastic. And then you got a really good Jew and you got a real, I mean, right? And why can't we just let that belief, because that belief is what they believe, and let that be, because the mind has made it real.
Hmm.
I've decided this is the truth for me. I mean, we're in a world right now of everybody's projecting their truths on each other, and we don't know what's true, but we get to decide what's true.
Yeah. No, there's a great connection, obviously, between the mind and the body and
Yeah.
what's really possible. I mean, I was always fascinated as a child of these stories. I was an avid reader. I'm an intelligent guy, and I was very advanced for my age. And so I was reading when I was very young. And I just remember gravitating a lot to these stories that were stories of people that just somehow find some incredible strength in a
Hmm.
moment and can do
Hmm.
something
Yeah.
that no
Yeah.
human could really do.
Right.
You know,
Super.
I and then I started like really looking into all these mysteries. Like, what are
Hmm.
all these
Hmm.
mysteries? And
Yeah.
like one of the ones that fascinates me is the internal combustion. That there are people who can just suddenly just internally combust and flames pop out of them. Like, wow, like how is that possible? Like, but there's these weird mysteries in the world that happen, and you recognize them. And I feel like I knew that there was a presence of something. I knew that there was a spirit. I knew that there was something. One night, I always love to tell this story. One night, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning out of bed when I was 14 in
Mm.
my grandparents' house. Everybody was asleep, and I woke up and I popped up in the bed for some reason, and I looked at the fan, a box fan on there. It was summertime, and all of a sudden flames started shooting out of the box fan, and I jumped up and I threw it on the floor, and the flames went out. And I was always like, it was like God woke me up at 2 o'clock in the morning to do that. Like, that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so we have these
Yeah. Yeah.
moments and these things when we're young where we know there's something else,
Something.
there's
Yeah.
something
There's
more.
something
And then we
else.
get a little bit older and we start thinking, we write all that stuff off and we think, that's nothing. It's all nonsense, you know. But I found myself, going through a lot of things and realizing that there was something. And so I have great spiritual practice in my life for 36 years now, because of those things and because of what I believe. And I identify what you're talking about. People, when you said the other side, I knew that's what you were talking about. That's why I had to ask you, because I feel that way too. I
Yeah.
feel like all those special people in my life who cared about me, that prayed for me, that's why I survived some of the crazy things that have happened to me in my life. And I feel like they're still with me and they're still there. And um,
They
I
are.
feel like they're part of my
Yeah.
God now. They're like, it's
They
like
are.
at the end of Star Wars, when all the
Yes.
people who have
Yes.
gone on, they all come together and they're standing. That's how I feel
Yeah.
about it. For me, I, I I thought it may be a little bit morbid, but I was thinking about putting all of their pictures behind my head where I
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Oh
then
my
I
God. What
thought
a
maybe
great
that's a
idea.
little bit morbid, but I think it's good because I want to honor them. I want to honor them.
I don't think that's morbid at all. I think that's a beautiful tribute.
Yeah.
You're honoring them, you know. So I will add to the story. I had a death experience where I went to the other side, and they didn't pronounce me dead or anything, but I passed out.
Hmm.
I was unconscious, and it was, you know,
You had an experience.
yeah, I literally on the ground at this party passed out. Told me it was about, I don't know, 30 to 45 seconds, and white light. I mean, like right out of the books, like pure white light. I'm not these. I'm always amazed. Like, wow, it was pure love. Like it was, and I remember thinking, I don't want to go back. I remember thinking that because it was so pure. You can barely put words around it, right? It was like an essence and an energy. And my brother then all of a sudden was kind of yelling at me, Rick, come back, come back. And then I made a choice, I guess, to come back. And I'll never forget it. And in that moment, I went, okay, there is something on the other side. Now, they've done studies. Is that the brain shutting down from oxygen? I don't know. I want to hang with the other truth that there is absolutely
It's
an energy.
about belief.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Exactly.
about
That's what I
belief.
believe,
Yeah.
So, and, the classic language that's out there, it's been around for years. There's only two energies in the world, fear or love. That's it. Everything else is a slice of the same pie. And we're very
Yeah.
much in it.
One of my favorite books is Gerald Jablonski's "Love Is Letting Go of Fear."
Yeah. 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 So, we're in a world right now and we all know it. We're experiencing it. We're doing our best to get through it. We have to go through this fear space. We just have to. We've never been more, as we all know, the politics and the calling each other names
Mm.
and the whole like destroying each other game, the war in the middle. It's just like, wow, this really is a phase that we see.
It's an Orwellian nightmare.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I keep going to, I don't want loss of life, of course, but there's something that we have to go through this to go to the next level. It's that classic sort of meltdown, the term breakdown before a breakthrough.
Yes. Yes.
So we're having a global cultural meltdown. And it's hard on our hearts. We don't like, and I'm always telling people turn off the news. You don't have to live from the news. You're getting too much news. But at my highest level, I do believe this is unfolding for our highest good, long term. Might not happen in my lifetime. If I can get really meta view, I can go, okay, there's something bigger that has to happen here that I can't control. I'm going to be my best self. I'm going to try to be nice to my neighbor, even though they're screaming at whatever. I'm going to do my best to sort of get through this. And also, from a personal perspective, not live it out, not play the game of, well, they want to destroy me, so I'm going to destroy them. Like, not do that. Not do that revenge tit for tat. Like, calm it down, I get it. You're upset. You don't like me. I'm a gay man. I should be burning in hell. Got it. Thank you so much. And I just let it go, because half the country thinks I should be burning in hell. Okay, fine. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
so much. So, that's at my highest. And when I'm at my best self, when I'm at my worst self, I just like get mad at people who don't like gay people because I'm one of those people and you don't happen to like me just because of my lifestyle, not because of my personality. Anyway, that's a different
Yeah.
topic, but there's a lot
Yeah.
there, right?
No, but there's a lot there, and obviously this has informed you in many different ways
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
about how you handle things and do things.
Yeah. Well, I've trained many, many rooms in leadership. When you dare to put your work into the world, you're going to be judged like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a welcome mat.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. So, as a gay man, what I learned early on is I am judged blatantly by my minister, my church. My parents had a rough go. AIDS almost took us out. I had friends die left and right. Like, okay, got it. I am now mostly able to be with huge judgment coming at me and not being triggered because I've like been
Beautiful.
there. We're done. We're like, okay, got it. You hate me. But can we just have a funny moment? But then millions and millions of people. But can you put up my curtains? Can you come paint my house? Can you, like the, you know, how many, how many people in my world who like, of course they have gay best friends. I don't mean to use the gay topic too much, but they're like, oh no, I have gays who come over and decorate my house. I'm like, of course you do. Anyway, I don't. There are many
Little
people who are good
minds,
at
little
decorating.
minds, little
Yeah,
minds.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway,
So I want
so
to go back for 1 second. Sustainability.
yeah.
It seems like a lot of these wares,
Mm,
to use your term,
yeah, thank you.
they have a lot in them.
They
There's a
do.
lot in them,
There's a lot in
and sustainability is loaded. It's loaded with stuff in there, right? So it's not just about my lifestyle. Is my lifestyle sustainable?
them. Hmm.
Is my relationship sustainable? Is my work sustainable? Is the business sustainable? Is my health sustainable? Right? It's everything. It's
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 everything.
sustainability of all areas.
Correct. And now it's opened up the window of Mother Earth and the
Mm,
planet and resources. And
yeah.
are we can we really be conscious? I have a number of clients who I work with in leadership development space, and their bigger game is to ask companies to please take more responsibility with the planet. Like that's their mission, to get C-suite people more conscious and more into this, and then have them train them. By the way, this will actually brand you better. This will help your brand.
Yeah.
So they're actually
Yeah,
helping.
I have a good friend that
Yeah.
10 years ago started on this journey of social responsibility
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
helping companies to be more
Abs-
socially responsible and to use that as part
as
of
that,
their marketing and
absolutely.
their view so that other people view them as more socially responsible companies,
Yeah.
that they're not just evil giants trying to get money.
Yeah. No, it's very in right now, and it has to be. I mean, right? So yeah. So
It's
it's good
interesting.
stuff. It's good
So
stuff.
listen, I've really enjoyed our time together. We should do this again sometime.
Thanks,
And
Eddie. I'm right back at you.
before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to tell me about living the bigger game, playing my bigger game?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say, let me just see what comes to mind. I'll just start talking. Sometimes you have to talk it to find it.
I
So,
agree.
I think the key philosophy is are you up to something bigger than you know how to do? That's a bigger game. If you know how to do it, it's not a bigger game.
Hmm.
When I talk to companies, I go, doubling your profits next quarter is not a bigger game. That's just doubling your profit. That's, what are you doing that could double your profit, that matters to you and you're hungry to make a difference with and all that. So, I think it's very much in line with what you and I've been chatting about. It has this quality of it's a wild ride, and these elements simply are a sort of a consciousness of what's going on. Because I think the thing that happens is we get stuck and confused as humans because we don't know what's happening. We get like, oh, I don't find it right, and then you come along and you get a I mean, maybe a silly game board that goes, oh, what's happening is I need to call for help. I need to call, I need to talk to a coach. Oh, what's happening is I don't know what I'm hungry for anymore. Oh, what's happening? So once you know what's happening, then you can make more conscious choices for the life you want. And then the big phrase that sometimes I've said in rooms is playing a bigger game is not for the faint of heart. However, it is for the full of heart because it's very heart based. It's very, this matters to me a lot. And it matters to the planet, it matters to people. And I'm a fan of still thinking everybody's, and this is very Anne Frank. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to say this, right? But people are good until further notice, you know.
Deep down in some of them.
Deep down. I mean, I know, right? It's like, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh. But
But
so
I love the book. I want to get the book. I want to get the game. I want to play with my kids. I want
yeah,
to
yeah,
see if
yeah,
I can
cool.
light a fire.
Yeah, that's kind of the job. I love that you said that. It's sort of like, okay, let's get more conscious here. Where are we really going with this thing called my creative self? You know what? That's what I want to leave you with. Here's what I believe we're on the planet for. We're here to create stuff. We're here to create families. We're here to create people. Babies. We're here to create a business. We're here as creators. And I think people start to lose they start to get depressed when they forget that they're here to create something. I don't care if it's a recipe book or but we are here to create. And when we are in the act of creating something that matters to us, it's very fulfilling. Think about a good hobby. So there you go.
Absolutely.
Eddie, it's a pleasure. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the good work you do. Thank you for touching hundreds of thousands of lives. God bless
Yes.
you.
Thank you for writing that book and sharing your ideas with me. And I'm going to stay in touch, and we could do this
Yeah.
again and talk more.
Anytime you want. I'm thrilled that I found you, and in my language, you are a fantastic ally of waking people up to their greatness. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, my
All right.
friend.
Be well. Do I just click out?